anything. The only list that I get is my people list.
Okay.
My cat list.
So you're only hitting the same route on the back end every time.
Yeah.
Sounds like okay, fair. We can definitely make sure we go over that. Anything else that we're having difficulty with? Interesting. Okay. Makes it hard to directly help those of you who are being quiet. Okay. Well, we'll go with just going over it. So we've got our people. We also need to create our cat list. So we're going to say const cats. And this is going to be a different array. And so I'm going to say name, and I'll give it a name Hachiko, named after one of my cats. I'm giving it the same properties, so I can clean up the logic elsewhere. Because this is more standard. Usually wouldn't have like very different things on the same select bar. Maybe it would, but maybe it wouldn't. Yeah, Henry. I am recording right now. Hey, Kevin. Feel better soon. Okay, and let's give another pet name. We'll say Noboru. And I only have 2 cats, so I'm not going to add any more. And so we got to add a couple different routes, right? So we've got if request.url is equal to people. We want to do people. But else if, right? If it's equal, so we'll say else if. Let's add something here. Okay, so else if our request.url is equal to /cats, then we want to send up our cats object. So we'll say res.n json.stringify cats. Yeah, Shia.
So why is this step necessary if we have an access call?
So the axial, okay, great. Okay, where there's some confusion, I'm going to answer. So the question is, hey, why is this step necessary when we have an axios call, right? So the axios call that we've written is happening in the front end. Okay, so this is from the front end, and the axios call in the front end is requesting information from the back end. Okay, and that request associated with that is a URL. So just like when we were doing Heroku.Ghibli/films, we were getting all the films, right? And then other times we were doing /people, and we were getting all of the people. Now that request comes back with the URL attached to it, hits the server, and the server looks at that URL, and based off of it, goes and gets different information. So our Axios in the front end is going to sometimes ask for cats, and it's sometimes going to ask for people. But it's only going to behave differently if we set up our back end to understand that it's expecting different things. These are the APIs. APIs should be predictable to humans and what they mean. But we'll get more into that later. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what's the first thing I should do now that I've written that? I should test it, right? So I'm going to go over, let's go to Postman this time. And I'll try /people to make sure my people still works. And it does. And let's also make sure my cats works. And it does. Okay, cool. So my back end, for all intents and purposes at the moment, is set up. So now all I have to do is update the front end, which is all things that we've mostly worked with in the last unit. So this part should feel a little bit more at home. I'll add a select bar. I'm just going to do this all under the button stuff. So I'll have a select. And let's add some options in here. Right? I know a lot of people were trying to generate these options with JavaScript. You could, but there was no requirement there. So I would take the path of least resistance. So I'll say, like, select an option. And let's make this selected. Make it disabled. Feel bad making something disabled. And then let's give it a couple other options. Right? We'll give it the option of cats. And I'll say cats in here. And this one will be people. Right? Let's go back to our HTML and check to see that that looks correct. So we'll go here. We have our select option. We have cats and people. And I'm unable to select option. Great. So that looks good. Okay, so then all we got to do is clean up this JavaScript a bit. So I'm just going to comment down. I'll just work below all this button stuff. I don't care. We can ignore the button stuff for now. So we got to, what do we need to do with the select? We need to what? Grab it? Yeah, right, we got to grab it because, why do we need to grab it? Because we have to add an event listener on it. Excellent. So let's say let select equal document. Oops, misspelled it again. Document dot add dot query selector. And let's go ahead and grab select. And then let's add our event listener. So we'll say select dot add event listener. And what's the event we want to listen for?
Change.
Yep. So let's listen for change. Spare some change. Let's listen to change. Do we care about the event? I don't know why that keeps popping up. Yeah, but in this case, we do care about the event because we want to see where the event actually occurred. So I'm going to pass in an E. That should go away soon. Probably not for this one. Maybe I could. If you did that, it's totally fine to have created a function that would keep it super clean or something. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. Okay, so then let's put in a debugger and see what we have available. So we're going to refresh our page. We'll select cats, Angelical cats. And we'll look at the console and we'll look at our E. And we can see E dot target is the select. And we can also look at the value. And we'll see that we grabbed cats. So with this, I can craft my URL, right? So I could say something like let URL equal http://localhost 3000 / plus e.target.value. Right? So by doing it like this, right, I can just go and grab whatever I'm asking for. And so now, for sake of brevity, I'm just going to take all of the code that I wrote for the button. Okay? And I'll go over it. So, but we've already done this. So, how do I clean this? Okay, well, I would like it to be prettier. So we go axios.get. Well, I don't want to get this anymore. Instead, I want to get my URL, right? And then I'm going to get back some response. I'm going to grab my URL, my UL. Let's this time set the UL's inner HTML to empty so that it refreshes each time. So let's say UL dot inner HTML to an empty string. And then we'll go ahead and say res.data.forEach. Well, person no longer makes sense. So I'm just going to create this to element because that makes more sense than calling a cat a person. Although my cat is a person. But we'll say element, and then we'll say we have our li, create our li.innerText is element.name, ul.append child, and we should be done. All right, so let's go test our work. Refresh, we'll click on cats, we get Novo and Hachiko, click on people, Corey, John, Jenny. Right, so it's mostly the same stuff as the work we did with the button. Just a couple differences, which is that we're generating this URL based off of what they hit. Right, I could clean this up. I could make this a function, as Henry suggested. Definitely a good idea, but I'm not going to go into that at the moment. I more just want to practice Unit 3 stuff. Any questions on this? Any questions, right? So if you were one of these and this doesn't make complete sense, let me know. That's the only way I can help you. All right. Well, if you do have a question, call me later and I'll help you, okay? Raise your hand. So, John or Jenny, can somebody post Paris? So there's a lab associated for today.